A disturbing message told to our cameras in court today from the teen accused of road rage.
And I'm also asking you with my heart that you please tell the truth.
Charged with assault and battery with dangerous weapon, serious bodily injury.
And specifically death threats against me and my wife.
A disturbing message was captured on our cameras in court from the teen accused of road rage. The 19-year-old Omar Marquez Quinones was recorded smashing a woman's car window with a baseball bat in Miami last month. Quinones appeared before a judge, where he was formally charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and criminal mischief. Police say the video shows him repeatedly swinging the bat at a car after the driver didn't let him change lanes.
A disturbing message told to our cameras in court today from the teen accused of road rage. The 19-year-old was recorded smashing a woman's car window with a baseball bat in Miami last month. Omar Marquez Quinones faced a judge today where he was formally charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and criminal mischief. Police say this is him repeatedly swinging the bat at a car after the driver apparently didn't let him change lanes. Quinones remains on house arrest.
Quinones faces charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and criminal mischief. He appeared in court Thursday and was ordered to remain in jail instead of $8,500 bail. The victim did not appear in court in person. She expressed that she lives in constant fear, detailing those fears in a letter she wrote, which was read aloud in court. Another letter was also read from one of the men being punished, claiming he was being punished for a crime he didn't commit. Richard Morales Marin, who has been convicted of serious offenses, smiled as he observed the courtroom crowd alongside Juan Hernandez Monsalvo. Both men were convicted for abducting a girl near a bus stop, taking her to a vacant house, and committing multiple crimes against her before letting her go. The two might have evaded justice if not for Juan Hernandez Monsalvo's own wife, who decided to come forward. The judge read a letter from her asking for leniency.
I beg you with all my heart to help Juan so that he does not spend the rest of his life in prison.
Later, Monsalvo openly wept as several of his letters were read aloud in court. Marin, however, smirked as Monsalvo claimed that Marin was the only one who had harmed the girl. Monsalvo also mentioned that he had been violently beaten by 7 other inmates. In a letter addressed to the victim, he pleaded with her to change her account, insisting that only one of them was involved in the attack.
And I'm also asking you with my heart that you please tell the truth about what happened at the house. And I have pain, such great pain in my heart.
Marin chose not to speak and showed no remorse while the victim's letters were read aloud in court.
When I see men that remind me of the men that hurt me, I'm afraid. Before, I didn't know people were really bad. Now I think the whole world is bad. I don't feel safe anywhere. They both deserve to spend the rest of their life in prison.
The state reminded the court that a jury had rejected the testimony of both men. Following this, the judge sentenced them to multiple life terms. Additionally, he requested that they be deported after they die in prison.
Neither of you are worthy of being buried in this country.
Both Richard Morales Marin and Juan Hernandez Monsalvo were sentenced to multiple life terms in prison. Additionally, the judge requested that they be deported after they passed away in prison. Steven Rosales, the former Kewaskum police officer charged with bestiality, returned to court. He faces several counts of bestiality for allegedly having contact with his dog and sending related messages to another person. Additionally, he is charged with sexual misconduct in Washington County, where prosecutors say he had an inappropriate relationship with a student at the high school where he worked as a school resource officer. Rosales is currently being held on a $100,000 bond in the bestiality case, but his attorney has requested a reduction in the bond amount.
He wants to be there for his wife. He wants to make sure she has a healthy and safe pregnancy.
The state disagreed with the request for a bond reduction.
Based on the nature of these charges as well as the charges in Washington County, and the state would ask the court to deny the motion.
The judge decided to keep the bond at $100,000. Steven Rosales is scheduled to appear in court again. At the Pinellas County Courthouse, the case of Domingo Rodriguez, accused of decapitating a dog, was back in court. Rodriguez's lawyer entered a plea of not guilty to the animal cruelty charges. The body of a dog named Dexter was found near Fort DeSoto Park on May 14th, just 4 days after the dog was adopted from Pinellas County Animal Services. A demonstration occurred outside the courthouse, with protesters chanting "Justice for Dexter" and calling for the suspect to face the fullest extent of the law. Rodriguez was not present in court, but his legal team attended the hearing. Dexter's innocence drew dozens of protesters, all demanding that whoever was responsible for his death be found guilty.
It's for Dexter and for all the other dogs that are abused and every day. So, we're not Neanderthals.
We'll waive his appearance and we'll enter a plea of not guilty.
The courtroom was quiet as the lawyer for 66-year-old Domingo Rodriguez, the man accused of decapitating Dexter and abandoning the body near Fort DeSoto, informed the judge that they would be pleading not guilty. The defense has not yet reviewed the dossier of evidence that the state has collected.
Maintaining his innocence. We've declared not guilty. He's presumed innocent under the law.
Pinellas deputies charged Rodriguez after he admitted to being at Fort DeSoto on May 11th, just a day after adopting Dexter from Pinellas County Animal Services. Rodriguez claimed that Dexter must have run away during the night, but detectives found some of his statements inconsistent. Dexter's body was discovered on May 14th.
When you can do things like that, the gray line becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's scary to think of what someone like that could do in society.
Several demonstrators are volunteers with animal services, which is one reason this case has sparked such strong emotions. Some of them had been caring for Dexter, possibly less than 24 hours before he was killed.
He was the sweetest dog. He would bring a ball to you and want you to throw it, but then in the end, he really just wanted to cuddle in your lap.
Demonstrators expressed confidence that justice will be served. The defense attorney also agreed, encouraging them to believe in the legal system.
We have the court system. It's the best in the whole world. I understand the emotion. I sympathize with them. I get it. But at the same time, we have to separate emotion and the rule of law.
If convicted, the suspect faces up to 5 years in prison. A Flagler County high school student caught on camera violently attacking a teacher's aide has learned his sentence. The judge decided to sentence Brendan Deppa to 60 months, or about 5 years, in prison, followed by 15 years of probation. The judge opted to sentence Deppa as an adult despite his autism. He described the incident as senselessly violent and troubling. At the time of the attack, Deppa was 17, a juvenile, but his history of violence and aggression, including several Baker acts and battery charges, influenced the decision. Witnesses, including Deppa's mother, spoke in court about his autism and other diagnosed disorders, noting that his aggression was not new. The attack occurred last year, after Deppa's Nintendo was taken away in class. Deputies reported that Deepa beat the teacher's aide, Nadej, unconscious, and the incident was captured on video, which the judge referenced during the proceedings.
It captures senseless, extreme violence in a very troubling way. Dr. Pritchard testified that that was both volitional and an intentional act, in again saying that Mr. Deppa understands the difference between right or wrong. He knew that it was wrong. He admitted to Dr. Pritchard that he knew it was wrong, wished he hadn't done it, but he did it anyway.
Deppa's mother expressed that she thought the sentence was completely wrong and insisted her son was not at fault. She felt that the school district was aware of his needs and triggers, and she believed that his care plan was not followed. She argued that he needed more support and probation rather than prison. Despite her request for him to return home, Deppa will be heading to prison for the next 5 years. Cluster libraries are closed after a man with a skateboard attacked an employee. Investigators report that the violence was completely unprovoked. Harry Frotman, 31, appeared before a judge with his head down and arms folded. Police say he struck a Worcester library worker in the back of the head with his skateboard.
Charged with assault and battery with dangerous weapon, serious bodily injury.
Prosecutors say the unprovoked attack was captured on library surveillance cameras,
which showed this defendant throwing a skateboard, striking the complaining witness in the back of the head. That complaining witness for a time did fall unconscious and was taken to the hospital. He did have lacerations to the back of his head, swollen face, some whiplash from that. by the defendant.
Before his arraignment, psychologists evaluated Frotman, who reported that he refused to speak to them and his defense attorney.
Mr. Frotman declined to speak to me. He turned his back on me. I asked him to nod his head if he, yes, no. He did, all he would tell me was that he wanted to go to a psychiatric hospital and that he is not currently on psychiatric medications.
I would suggest at this point, given the inability to communicate with Mr. Frotman, both by myself and the court clinician, that a 15B inpatient evaluation should be ordered.
All Worcester Public Library branches were closed as city officials met with library staff to discuss safety and security. The attack disturbed people who came to drop off books.
I just hope that the person who was attacked is okay, and maybe the person who did the attacking is getting the help that they need.
The prosecution says Frotman has a criminal history in Massachusetts and West Virginia. He is currently being held on a $10,000 cash bail. A Mount Carmel high school teacher arrested earlier for inappropriate conduct involving a student has been sentenced to 3 years in state prison. Stacy Walker, the former teacher, was engaged in misconduct with a student over several years before the student reported her after turning 18.
I know it wasn't my fault. None of this was ever my fault. I was a child, your student, and you were the trusted adult. You manipulated me so deeply, it still runs through my veins.
A former Mount Carmel student delivered an emotional impact statement at the sentencing of her former theater teacher, Stacy Walker, who had been involved in misconduct with her for years.
I would rush home, run into my room, close the door, and submit to her entirely on signal. Whatever she asked for, sexually explicit photos and videos in certain poses or positions, the entertainment of her twisted sexual fantasies, degrading me and humiliating me.
In 2017, Stacy began an inappropriate relationship with a student. The misconduct continued until the student turned 18 and reported it to authorities. At sentencing, the student's mother also spoke.
How could you take my daughter's hand as a sophomore in high school and lead her into your adult world of abuse, psychological manipulation, and control? There is no sentencing that will ever erase my daughter's pain.
Stacy pleaded guilty to charges involving a minor. Her plea included an admission that she abused her position of trust and confidence to commit the offense.
You yanked her out of her innocence and carefree existence and offered her entrance into a place so dark and disturbing I cannot give words to.
Stacy was sentenced to 3 years in state prison. A man who terrorized a neighborhood in Sugar House for years is finally heading to prison. Rafoul admitted to 5 counts of violating civil stalking orders after threatening to kill his neighbors. But that's not all. He was also found guilty of elder abuse for attempting to kill his father and of assaulting a Salt Lake police officer. Originally, Judge William Kendall had suspended Rafoul's prison sentence in these cases and placed him on probation under adult probation and parole. However, the APMP suggested that Judge Kendall cancel his probation and enforce the original prison sentence. The district attorney agreed. This decision brings his neighbors a massive sense of relief. Meet Cheryl Hannon and her husband Sean. They live just across the street from Rafoul and have been among his victims.
Well, this emotionally exhausting experience.
But even with the stalking injunction in place, he continued his vulgar outburst and specifically death threats against me and my wife.
From threatening to kill his neighbors, telling Cheryl Hannon to grab a shovel and dig a hole to bury her husband Sean, and demanding that she beg on her knees in front of Sim Gill at the Salt Lake County District Attorney's office, Rafoul's disturbing outbursts shook the entire neighborhood. His actions tied up police resources, and he even assaulted a Salt Lake police officer. His defense attorney, Brock Vanderkamp, argued that Rafoul was eligible for the STEP program for treatment and even suggested he would wear an ankle monitor to avoid going to prison. However, adult probation and parole sergeant Roberts urged Judge William Kendall to revoke Rafoul's probation, and prosecutor Melanie Serrazio agreed. Judge Kendall did not hold back in his response.
Frankly, he needs to be in a secured facility that he cannot leave, and that is the Utah State Prison, Your Honor.
His course of conduct has been going on for more than 2 years now. You have been essentially a one-person crime spree and disruptor of neighborhood harmony for a very long time.
Maurice's parents were present in court, and his father, Assad, decided to speak up, accusing him of despicable yellow journalism. He also blamed Sean Hannon, still insisting to the judge that Hannon had hacked into his TV and internet. Afterward, he told prosecutor Melanie Serrazio that she didn't know how to do her job. It's still unclear which prison Raffel will be sent to. Celedrian Brooks, 25 of Rock Hill, was sentenced after pleading guilty to a serious offense involving a young girl.
Your Honor, before you, Celedrian Gerald Brooks. He's represented by Ashley Anderson. He's pleading guilty under indictment number 2014 GS 46031159 to criminal sexual conduct with a minor in the second degree. The state's negotiation is 20 years. Your Honor, November 16, 2013, Officer Hannon responded to the Piedmont Medical Center for a report with a CSE with a minor. Officer Hannon spoke with who stated that her 5-year-old daughter woke her up that morning, told her that she was hurt by the defendant, 25-year-old Jared Brooks, while Hannon was out the night before, November 15, 2013. The defendant was at their home, located in Rock Hill, York County, South Carolina, babysitting a 5-year-old and her 3-year-old brother. When Hannon returned home around midnight, the defendant was on the couch and the children were asleep in the room. The following morning, the victim came in complaining the defendant had touched her. Confronted the defendant, who denied the allegations, and the victim stated to the defendant that he was lying when he denied the allegations. And told the defendant to leave the residence and took the victim to PMC for a sexual assault exam. The exam indicated that there was visible trauma to the Detective Chavez, obtained an arrest warrant for the defendant for CSE with a minor in the first degree, and the defendant waived his Miranda rights but denied the allegations. DNA was submitted and a Y DNA hit was returned matching the defendant. A letter was sent using another inmate's number to the victim's mom that fully confessed to the offense, stating that he had been very high or intoxicated.
Mr. Brooks, you've heard the facts recited to the court by the solicitor's office with regard to this charge. Do you disagree in any way with what they say happened? Mr. Brooks, is there anything you wish to say to the court?
Someone tell my family I love them.
Case number 2014 GS 46-3159. Celedrian Gerald Brooks having pled guilty to criminal sexual conduct in a minor in the second degree. Such code is to be committed to the State Department of Corrections for a term of 20 years. This is given correct 347 days of jail.
Thank you.
He was sentenced to 20 years in prison. In a surprising turn of events, a Polk County teacher could be facing prison time after an unexpected decision in court. Jennifer Victor caught the courtroom off guard by pleading guilty to all charges against her. Victor, a former teacher, made what one law professor called a strategic move. She is now awaiting sentencing after pleading guilty to all 37 counts related to inappropriate conduct with minors.
It's surprising that would happen.
The former English teacher at the Central Florida Aerospace Academy was accused of inappropriate conduct with 3 students. A local mother of 2 who lives just up the road from the academy feels it was a sudden change in moral direction.
Obviously her conscience has come about.
However, Cooley law professor Jeff Schwartz believes the decision was more calculated. The state confirmed that there was a plea deal on the table, one that included substantial prison time, but Victor chose to turn it down.
It would appear that the state's offer was such that it left the defendant with no option but to go to trial, and that the court has indicated in some manner that it would sentence the defendant to a lesser sentence than the state was insisting on it.
Schwartz notes that much can happen between now and the sentencing.
I assume that the defendant will get psychological evaluations done to present to the court and line up her character witnesses and other people in order to substantiate the court's indication that it would give her a lesser sentence.
Meanwhile, Mother Shannon Morale says this case, which many in Lakeland have been discussing over the past year, has led to some difficult conversations with her children.
Certainly you discuss it with them. I mean, you discuss what could lead up to that. It makes everybody think a little more about, who's with their kids and how their kids are reacting to them.
Victor faces a maximum of 15 years in prison for each of the 30-plus counts she's charged with. Her sentencing hearing is scheduled. During the sentencing of Anna Stubblefield in State Superior Court in Essex County, the brother of a disabled man spoke. Stubblefield, a former Rutgers Newark professor, admitted to having criminal sexual contact with a former disabled student who was unable to speak. She was sentenced to time served.
In all my life, nothing else has posed a serious threat to the sanctity of my family than Anna Stubblefield. Not only did she rape my brother, but she intended to challenge our guardianship with the hopes of building her life with him. He can do a lot of things, but because of his disability, he is vulnerable. He cannot provide for his own self-care, and that makes him vulnerable. Anna Stubblefield took advantage of that vulnerability. Indeed, the thing that she was supposedly saving him from was the very thing she needed to get away with her crime: silence. My brother could not give consent. Never, never, my brother could not consent. There was no justice for my family when the woman that raped my brother and intended to steal him from us barely serves 2 years out of a 12-year sentence. Hell, she hasn't even addressed a formal apology to my family. I see no remorse from Anna Stubblefield. The trauma that my family has undergone through this entire ordeal will take many years to heal.
Anna Stubblefield was sentenced to 3 years in prison with the possibility of time served. Dylann Stevenson, a former Rutgers football player, was sentenced for his involvement in an assault related to a riot that resulted in another Rutgers student sustaining a broken jaw.
I was thinking about that kid. He was that kid that everybody saw on the streets and rooted for this kid. This kid is going to put Saraville on the map. This may have the benefit of seeing that tape played to me on a very sophisticated laptop which was capable of slowing the action down like I've never seen before. And Dylann, it was terrible. It was terrible. You know, Mr. Arasto, you used the word sucker punch. An unexpected punch or blow. And I can see you on the tape go onto the sidewalk and come from in between the cars. And I see you cracking him in the side of the face, and he had no clue. And he crumbles to the ground. You remember seeing that? Terrible. Terrible.
Dylann Stevenson was sentenced to 3 years of probation for his role in the assault. He was also ordered to complete 300 hours of community service and pay restitution to the victim. The incident revolves around Nikki Sue Ensel. On January 2nd, 2020, Nikki ended the life of her husband, Chad Ensel, at their home northwest of Bismarck. Home security camera footage indicated that Nikki was responsible for Chad's death, leading the officers to charge her with the crime. Losing a loved one leaves an open wound that is difficult to heal. The court would soon allow family members to express their thoughts and feelings.
My name is Deb Ensel, and Chad Ensel was my son. Is that okay? Yep. Can I start?
You can tell me what you want to tell me.
Okay. The hurt and the pain at the loss of my son Chad is unbearable. It is a wound that will never heal. We will always have that reminder of our loss with the empty chair at the family get-togethers and holidays. We will forever miss hearing his crazy jokes and that infectious smile of his. There will be no more phone calls on my birthday teasing me how old I am getting. No more playing hoops or soccer or baseball with his nephews and seeing the pure enjoyment on his face watching off fireworks at the 4th of July holiday with his family. You have taken all of that from us. Your actions have caused a good man his life and have forever fractured my family. And no parent should ever have to their child.
My name is Lori Krause, and I am Chad's sister. You took many things away from us. Birthday celebrations, holidays, Sundays just because get-togethers, and most importantly, a piece of my heart. All because you chose money over human life. You sat with my family and cried with us. Fake tears, no doubt, because you had none during the trial. And you lied to us about how much you missed him and let his family plan his funeral like nothing was your fault. We are not victims. We are a network of broken survivors. You may have noticed your side was completely empty at the trial, while Chad's side had more people than space. That's because everybody knows that the world is a much better place without you in it. There are a lot more things I could say about how I feel, but I decided this day is no longer a day of you. It is a day about my brother. This is the day we remember him and what a wonderful person he was. An amazing athlete, somebody who had more friends than I can count, and somebody who most importantly could do anything for anybody at any time. He gave back to his community and was a role model for my boys. Now, because of your selfish actions, he no longer gets to be with his family, watch his nephews grow up, graduate high school, or get married. I miss the days that I could just call him up simply to invite him to dinner. People will remember my brother as a genuine great person, and I will forever remember and reminisce about the short time we got to spend with him. He will forever be loved and missed. Justice has been done, and I know I speak for a lot of people that wants you to rot in eternity where you will no longer be able to hurt anybody again.
Judge Barr, I'm writing you this letter today for a few reasons. It gives you a little history of me and what this has done for my life and my boy's life. Growing up, I was taught to be a very hard worker, stay driven, never give up. I became a mom very early in life. The term kids having kids was me. Makes you grow up faster, with life lessons, major bumps in the road. I was in a life-threatening accident while overcame that. That has made some moments very hard, as I have now. Also noted in the PSI. I have now been diagnosed with TBI. With hard work, life went on, more laughs, more new lessons. Me and my son continued to grow up. Had a great job, moved on, new life lessons hit. Got through it all. Right now, new nightmare happens. This can't happen, doesn't happen in my real world, doesn't happen, only happens to other people, not my baby. Everyone says, focus strong, stay strong, move on. So I move on, fast forward, life's great, we're gonna have another baby. But now you have another life lesson to learn. You have cancer, be ready to fight hard. So we fought. I'm here now, and I have to fight for two, not just for me and my other. We fight, and we're still fighting. Then I meet a wonderful man, who I think is the most amazing man me and my boys have ever met. We do things. They think he is great to have around on weekends, as we don't live in the same state, so it's only visit on the weekends. Me and my boys are having great talks. They ask for more and more time for Chad to be around. Finally, we all say I do. Things are amazing. The families are coming, and I get told when my parents are going to meet. My heart drops as I'm told they can't come to visit us at my permanent house. I don't know what to say. My sons and Chad bowl together. Life moves on. Things are great. My youngest son is doing great bowling. Begins to call him Dad. The boys start to change. Before I know it, they grow big. I come home one day. A trip is planned, I'm told. A great trip. Trip goes on. Life grows. We move. Yelling starts. It becomes a windfall. People come around, don't know. I come home. I get left. Other things happen. I come home one day. This is the biggest day of my life. A black crowd goes over us. My boys tell me they've been hit. I can't believe it. My happy world has now become unhappy. I don't know what to think. I focus on my boys, focus on my catering, and focus on I need to leave. I get promised it will stop. I don't know what to think. I get promised it won't happen anymore. We'll move on. We'll be a loving family. We get told I have some more issues to go through. I need treatment again. Everything's going to look brighter. So I say, okay. We keep moving on. I come home one day. My boys are a wreck. They've been locked in their rooms all day. I say, why? They say, we need to leave. We need to leave now. I get told. I say, that's it. We're leaving. I will look for another place. This becomes the worst night of my life. My heart and my soul are broken. My boys are hurt. I don't know what to do. I gotta leave. Everyone knows that this can't really happen, but everybody knows, and I'm asking for help. Your Honor, I have been through all kinds of it. Now my boys have been through it. I have to live through this every single day. Nobody can tell me what I have to live through. Nobody can tell me the pain I have to live through every single day. From the day that I got told that to the day I started saying I need to move out. To the different times people said that they would be there to help, to who really helped and who really didn't help. Then to be told in different sessions, I don't feel enough. I don't have enough. So here we are. We're getting ready to go to trial. I'm a wreck. It's been 3 years. I've patiently waited. Every time I get ready to go to trial, it hasn't worked out. I've patiently waited. But here we are. We're going to go to trial for real this time. My heart's a mess. I get told I need to take a plea deal. It's going to be this way. I don't want to. I want to have my chance. It's my right to go to trial. But I get told that if I don't, the prosecutor is going to make sure I sit and rot and my kids never get to see me again. This isn't right. I feel like I should have a right to go to trial. And that's the right that I have along with my boys. My boys say that they need this day as much as anybody else. Judge Barr, I've had to live with the loss, not only for myself, but the loss for my boys also. Nobody knows the loss I live every single day, not just with Chad, but with the loss of my boys. I don't have my boys. I don't have anybody else. I have been incarcerated for 3 years. I have learned to deal with a lot of loss. There's nobody in the jail systems to really help us. I deal with the loss independently. I don't have other people to contact. Yes, I have family. Yes, I have other people. Jail is very expensive. Calls are very expensive to deal with loss. Do I talk through friends with my boys? Yes, I do. My boys are also in school. It's not possible to talk to both of them every day. But Your Honor, I do miss them. I miss a lot while I'm in here. I'm asking you to please understand the losses I do also have. I miss a lot. I have great losses. Nobody can write on a piece of paper what they think I have for a loss. That is not a fair way to put me on a piece of paper. So I'm asking you, Your Honor, to please have consideration when you do sentence me. I don't think a piece of paper should determine someone's life. Thank you.
That at the time of sentencing of Mr. Howard, Mr. Insel's family supported the plea agreement in order to bring the matter to resolution as to Mr. Howard. And the court significantly consider that in accepting that plea agreement. If the matter had gone to trial, I don't believe there's any way I would have imposed the sentence that was agreed to in the plea agreement. But deferring to the state and the defense attorney, understanding they are aware of information, and seriously taking into account the victims, Mr. Insel's family's support to that, the court did accept it. So I do not find Mr. Howard's sentence as precedent. I am not going to award the same or impose the same sentence in this case. To me, my decision is whether it's life or life without the possibility of parole. Anything else, I believe, would be a grave injustice. And that's where I am deliberating at this point. Comparing it to a case I did a sentence in last year with life without parole, where the individual was slightly younger, but he had a significant larger criminal history of over 60 convictions, had been incarcerated multiple times and violated probation, I think it was about 5 times, and it had many opportunities for treatment. And in that case, and because of the significant opportunities he'd had to correct his behavior, to receive treatment and stuff, the court did impose life without the possibility of parole. Both of those, that case and this case, each resulted in the loss of a life, under different facts, of course. And I also appreciate Mr. Insel's family. I think many people feel that if someone takes a life, they should never have a life of their own. On count 1, considering all the factors, and as I think everyone can tell, I'm trying to weigh those factors and determine what's most fair and appropriate. I am going to impose a life sentence. I will not do that without the possibility of parole. As significant as it is, there is the possibility that through proper counseling and other help, that Ms. Insel may be able to be released down the road and be able to be a productive member of society. The fact that it's life without parole does not mean she will be released. Victims' families will have the opportunity to participate if they want and sharing their thoughts about her being released in the future. And under the law, she has to serve a minimum of 85% of that sentence, which I'll address in a minute. And so, for count 1, life, of course, required DNA and fingerprinting. I will order the restitution of $5,592, waive all fees except the $35 victim witness fee, the $25 court-appointed counsel fee, require participating in mental health treatment. And Ms. Lawyer, was it 1137 or 1037 days credit?
1137, Your Honor.
The credit for 1,137 days. On count 3, I am going to impose 10 years, all suspended, and 3 years of probation. And on count 5, 5 years, all suspended with 3 years of probation. The purpose of that is for if Ms. Insel gets out on count 1, she will be on probation and have the possibility of 15 additional years if she does not keep those conditions of probation. So that will help hopefully protect the public and ensure that she complies with any mental health counseling or anything else she needs if she needs it at that time.
The incident revolves around Tim Ferreter, who forced his adopted son to live in their garage for years. Jupiter police arrested Ferreter after discovering the garage setup in their Egret Landing home. When Ferreter's adopted son was reported as a runaway in January 2022, the situation came to light. While not all victims can share their emotions in court, this victim had the chance to express his experience to the judge during the proceedings.
I came here today to see your face again. It might be the last. So let us make this right. Would it not be proper to say our last goodbyes? It looks like we hit a fork in the road, and it seems that I can only fit on the path on the right, but you were left with the left one. Some might wonder why I came to see you again. A lot of people do not like what you did to me. Why come back? Well, it's because behind this monster of madness, guilt, anger, and wrongdoing, I see a soft spot. I see what you truly are. I know that hiding in the darkness of fear and blame, there is true fatherly love. In the exact same spot, there's nurturing. I believe that it can still be activated. We just need to excavate the corrupted parts of your heart. Most people think that I am sensitive when it comes to talking about you. That is true and false. I do want to talk about you. That's because I still love you. And I'll always love you. Until the end of my days. I just wanted to say that I wish you never did the things you did to me. And I think that it was just a long dream. I want to say that you never left. When every day passes since we last made contact, I feel like everything is slowly taken away from me. I want to say I miss those brown eyes. I miss knowing what you're doing. I also miss knowing how your day has been. I keep on thinking about you, whether I'm in a good mood or not. When I said I was family, I was something I really meant. I just wish you the best. I want to say that you were everything I needed all along. But Baba, I want you happy whether or not it's with me. I wanted to be with you, but it's something I wish I really meant. Right now you're facing heavy consequences, but I have something that I cannot change. My father was a good person who just made a really serious mistake. He was not a bad parent. He worked in the medical field when I was a young age. We went on to out-of-country vacations, such as Canada and France. He had a lot of friends. He had a positive impact on those around him. But we got to remember that a mistake was made, and trauma lasts. It can burn through people's brains, souls, hearts, and destroying everything in its path. It creates pain. It creates suffering. It creates hate. And the last thing I want to do is hate. A lot of people dislike you because of your actions, and some have feelings of hatred. However, I still love you, and I will continue to love you for the rest of my days. But how do I feel about you? I feel sad. I feel sympathy. I feel hope. But most importantly, I feel forgiveness. Other people may not think that, but I do. In that I hope you can gather yourself and try to follow up on the consequences of your actions. Just remember that I'm still your son, no matter what, and always remember that I'm still a ferreter. And Judge Coates, I wish you could sentence my beloved father, Tim, 6 months jail time, 5 years probation. And true mercy is not just from the heart. It's the will of the victim to accept mercy that he has received for his wrongdoings.
From the day I was born on the Marine Corps base in Quantico, Virginia, until this very day, I have had many challenges, but many more blessings. I want to give thanks to God for everything. Domino non musite. I want to start out by recognizing that all my kids have been devastated by this entire situation, and I am very sorry to them that they've had to go through this. Mama and I have lost all your kids. And all you have kids have lost your parents. In my Catholic faith, we define love in the following way. Love is willing the good of the other for other. Let me say that again. Willing the good of the other for other. What do I mean by this? I'll give two examples. If at 2 a.m., my wife or I got out of bed to attend to take care of a crying baby, Fiona, Ronan, Noah, or Pierce, that act of getting out of bed to take care of a crying child is not necessarily for the benefit of Tracy or myself. It's the benefit for the crying baby. Another example, a family of 6, we as a family of 6, Tracy, I, Fiona, Ronan, Nola, and Pierce, would routinely visit nursing homes. We would ask to visit the elderly people who never got visitors. Bringing the kids would always burst with smiles on the faces of everyone. This act was primarily for the benefit of the elderly people in the nursing home, not for the 6 of us. Everything I did was out of love. I pray that as a father, you empathize with this. My life is not about me. Rather, my life is about giving it up in love, especially for my family, while willing the good of the other for other. Next, I want to speak directly to my family. Ronan, I love you. Your mama loves you. We're all very sorry for everything. Everything you have gone through, and everything you continue to go through. I am empathetic to where you are placed now. I did all that I could to help you avoid that. As your father, I wish I could be by your side now and stand strong with you. I thank you, Ronan, for your honesty and courage when you spoke of mercy a few weeks back. Ronan, you were my first boy. I miss our boys' time together, Ronan. Our outings together. You're such a smart boy, young man. I miss all of your creative ideas you used to share with the whole family. We could always depend on you to come up with something creative and to build something that needed to be built. Well, and keep up the curiosity and the desire for learning. I love you always, and please know that you'll always be my boy. Fiona and Nola, my beautiful girls, I'm deeply sorry for all that you have had to endure. For almost the last 2 years. My job as your father is to protect you from what has happened to you since February 1st, 2022, and I have failed at that. Please know that I love you both now and forever, and nothing will ever change that. For I am convinced that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor present things, nor future things, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature will be able to separate us from this love, from the love of God in Christ Jesus our Lord. You are both resilient young women, Fiona and Nola. And in the end, everything will be okay because God has a plan. Fiona, when you are ready, feel free to reach out to your extended family, including the grandparents. Everyone loves you, Fiona, and are waiting with open arms to embrace you, to love you. In the end, Fiona, all you have is your faith in your family. I miss your sweet personality, your beautiful smile, and our intellectual discussions on literature, current events, religion, and other inspiring topics you came up with. I miss watching Hamilton with you. I miss hearing you sing the songs. I miss listening to the Beatles with you and Coldplay with you. I miss going on daddy-daughter dates with you. I love you always. I will love you always. You are my girl. Nola, your energy and personality always fills the room, and I love that about you. You are talented in so many ways. From your baking birthday cakes for everyone every year to your athletics. In my heart, I will always be in the stands cheering you on. Please remember this, but I'll be in the stands all the way from now until you play for Notre Dame or Arizona. Keep the joy in your heart alive, Nola. Don't lose that caring nature. I miss playing catch with you. You always threw the ball so hard it hurt my hand. I miss baskets with you, playing horse one-on-one, watching you dribble between your legs and around your back. I miss coaching your various teams. I miss coaching you and Fiona on basketball together. You brought many blessings to my life, and I'm grateful for that. Nola, your extended family, like I said to Fiona, including grandparents, love you and are waiting for you with open arms when you are ready. They are your only family, Nola, and we miss you dearly. I quote St. John McGraw when I say to my kids, have a great day. Ronan, Fiona, Nola, Pierce wouldn't remember it, but have a great day. Know that I will always love you, Nola. You are my girl. Pierce, my baby boy. I know you're very young and don't understand what is going on, but please know that I love you, and everything I did was for you. I quote you, Pierce, when I say, I miss you always. I love you always. Please know, Pierce, that I do miss you always. And I do love you always. I hope to be able to play hide and seek with you again, to be able to coach your t-ball team again, and to be able to go on bug adventures with you again. By the way, Nola, Pierce is also hitting from the left side of the plate, as I know you are, and he has a couple of home runs already, so watch out. Tracy, my beautiful, selfless, loving wife, you always do everything for our kids and our family first, and take care of yourself second. You are the most selfless person I know. We love all of our kids the same and initially adopted Ronan from Vietnam, so Fiona did not have to grow up without an adopted sibling, and so she had another Asian kid with her, as she would be a minority where we lived. I miss all of them, and I love all of them, as I know you do. We would do anything for our kids. Once all the kids were taken, the house was silent, and all the beds were empty. We began this sad, sad journey together. And now we have even been separated. Please keep your faith strong and know that as none of this makes sense, we must believe that God has a plan. We know that there must be a bigger reason for all this suffering. We know we like this, so I'll say this to you. When the storm comes, do like Simon Peter and keep your eyes on Jesus. I will always love you, my beloved wife. Finally, I want to note that on the first days at Club Jail, I've been jumped multiple times. I have had my head and beat until I have been approached and threatened by multiple people that if I don't pay them on a weekly basis, I will face consequences. Also, everyone recognizes me in jail, which makes me a target every day for every new person that crosses my path. I understand the court has to make a tough decision at this point in any case, and I empathize with you and that grave responsibility that you have. I also plead with you, Judge Coates, to use your discretion to lean into mercy for my family and myself to make your decision. I ask that you allow me to serve my sentence outside the jail or prison, under house arrest, or a monitor, or under probation, so as to be able to support the ones I love and the ones that depend on me. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
In the Circuit Court of the 15th Judicial Circuit, Criminal Division in and for Palm Beach County, Florida, case number 22 CF 001136 BMB Division B. State of Florida versus Timothy Dunn Ferreter, defendant. Verdict. We, the jury, find as follows. As to count 1, we find the defendant guilty of aggravated as charged in the information. As to count 2, we find the defendant guilty of false imprisonment as charged in the information. As to count 3, we find the defendant guilty of neglect of a child as charged in the information. So we say all this 12th day of October 2023 in West Palm Beach, Florida, signed by the jury foreperson.
All right, does either side wish to have the jury polled? Yes, Your Honor. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, there's been a request to have the jury polled, and that simply means that each of you will be asked the question of whether the verdict is your verdict or not. If it is, you should only answer yes. If it is not, of course, you should answer no and nothing further. So, Madam Clerk, at this time, if you could please poll the jury.
Juror 1, were the verdicts as read your verdict? Yes. Juror 2, were the verdicts as read your verdicts?
Yes.
Juror 3, were the verdicts as read your verdicts? Yes. Juror 4, were the verdicts as read your verdicts? Yes. Juror 5, were the verdicts as read your verdicts? Yes. Juror 6, were the verdicts as read your verdicts?
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, at this time, this concludes your service to your community in this matter. I want to thank you for the time and commitment that you've made to this case. It went a lot longer than I'd originally estimated. But in any event, I watched all of you during the course of the trial. You did exactly what I had requested. You stayed focused and tuned into the evidence during all phases of the case. And I hope everyone has a much better appreciation of the great responsibility that comes with serving as a juror in our community. So with that, I do want to thank you. My bailiff will give you a letter of thanks from me. Also, a certificate of appreciation from the Palm Beach County Bar Association, and a short little survey that I'll just ask that you return it when you get some time. Other than that, I do wish the best to all of you, and with that, you're excused, and Mark, you may escort the jurors out. At the end of the day, I'm going to find a basis to downward depart under the catch-all, so the question then is whether I should exercise my discretion in doing it, because I do find that this is a somewhat unique and complex situation because of the situation that maybe the victim has RAD. It's not totally clear that he does. It's not totally clear that what he has wasn't caused specifically by how he was treated by his parents. But I do recognize that there's enough that it creates an issue where this is not your normal situation of where their children are put in and there's nothing that explains what was going on here. Ultimately, the state is requesting 15 years, and I think the defense is requesting 1 year based on the motion, followed by probation. And I do note that I can go all the way up to 40 years. So at the end of the day, as I said before, I am totally convinced that what I do will not please anyone here, but ultimately the buck stops with me and the responsibility ends with me and falls on my shoulders to issue a sentence that I think is appropriate to the circumstances. And I will say that it is not lost on the court that not only is the defendant here going to be the one to suffer the weight of the sentence that I impose, but the entire family has already suffered the trauma and the ramifications and consequences of the defendant's conduct. And on that issue, I do think that the defendant exercised and expressed his remorse at that. I just wish he'd have been a little more forceful in getting the point to me that he actually acknowledges that what he did was wrong, and I didn't get that. I still didn't get that, because I have some sneaking feeling that if all things being equal, the defendant might say that he would do the same thing over again because he thought it was the right thing to do out of love at the time he did it, and that creates problems for me. I hope that I'm wrong on that, but at least that doubt has been allowed to remain in my head. So, all right, so enough said on this. I am going to exercise my discretion to downward depart here. I'm going to, but I will tell you that the downward departure is not even remotely close to what the victim has requested, nor the defense counsel requested. And at the end of the day, the sentence that I'm going to impose is going to be longer than what the guidelines provide. I'm going to downward depart from 75 months to 60 months. and followed by 5 years of probation, 2 years of the first 2 years of probation of which will be in CC2. During the term of probation, the defendant is not to have any contact initiated with any of the 3 older children. Those children will be free once they reach age of majority to have contact with the defendant if they so choose. In any event, even if the children so choose to have contact with the defendant, they will not be able to do so until the defendant has first completed the following conditions of probation. I'm going to require that the defendant undergo a 40-hour anger management class, which can be taken while he is in custody, that he undergo a 40-hour parenting course, and that he also undergo a mental health evaluation. With respect to the youngest child, given the nature of the appointment or the adoption there, I'm going to require any contact or visitation be supervised, but ultimately subject to any restrictions that the dependency court imposes, because obviously the dependency court, if they're still involved, then maybe they're not involved anymore. They don't have any jurisdiction anymore. So I'm going to leave it that there be no contact unless it's supervised with respect to the younger child. And the reason the court is allowing that is the circumstances that presently exist. The youngest child has been adopted by the wife's mother. And it's just not realistic in the court's view that where the adoption was permitted of the wife's mother, that any rational people looking at this situation would conclude that the parents are not going to have any contact with that child, or they should not have allowed the adoption to be by the wife's mother to begin with.
Big thanks to our viewers for joining the courtroom journey with us. Your interest in the stories of justice is what keeps our channel alive.